uh, advancing in environmental mapping and forest health assessments with drone imaging. So background and current work. Um, the USDA Forest Service monitors uh, forests around the country using ground-based manual field surveys. The problem with this is that they're time-consuming, expensive, and relatively restricted in the spatial coverage that they're able to do. Um, and existing research focuses on only very isolated components. So our research will bridge these gaps. Our solution to this is to create an unmanned aerial vehicle, aka a drone, that's capable of capturing high resolution photography. Uh, the goal is to fly the UAV over the designated forestry and environment areas. The drone will collect photography and will be processed on the ground. Uh, the agencies that might benefit from this data include the Bureau of Land Management and the Department of Agriculture. So materials and methods. The materials that are used, well, they're in this table, but we employ a Volantex Rager 2400, which offers a payload capacity of 3 kg for the installation of the Raspberry Pi and the camera. It has a large wing aspect ratio, which will allow high endurance and long range flights. It comes with a 48 brushless 4023 1050 kV brushless motor and 6 9G servos. And to power the drone, a 14.8 volts 500 mAh XT60 plug LiPo battery will be used. And a FlySky FSI6X will be purchased to act as a transceiver system for the drone. The Raspberry Pi will be used to control the camera and to provide the Raspberry Pi with flight instruments. A Berry IMU V3 10DOF will be utilized along with the DIY MALS BN880 GPS module. To capture photos, a Raspberry Pi HQ camera along with a 6mm wide lens angle HIQ camera must be purchased, and it will be mounted through a universal tilt adjustable mount for a Raspberry Pi camera. So,
Mhm. Okay, so for methods, so here's how it works, right? So we start by capturing this aerial imagery with the aerial vehicle, the unmanned drone. This drone is flown in places such as, for example, the Forest of Nicene Marks State Park, Calero County Park, other state parks, Castle Rock State Parks, anywhere with good forest coverage and environment coverage. So the drone will stay under 400 feet to comply with FAA regulations. And we may need to fly beyond where we can see it. So this includes other legal methods such as a Part 107 waiver. So this ensures that we operate legally and safely while we fly the drone in these environments, collecting data and testing the flight systems.
No.
The drone has a Raspberry Pi HQ camera, which takes high-resolution photographs. And once the images are captured, the images are processed on the ground by our machine learning software. So this runs on a much more powerful system than what could fit on the drone. So of course, in this aerial vehicle, we can't fit the entire processing system on the vehicle itself. And it's not practical to
ನೋಡು ಅದು ಅಲ್ಲ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ
it's not practical to process it in real time. So doing it on the ground means that we can use more advanced, more efficient algorithms on a more powerful processor. Next slide. Okay, so for the metrics that we use for analysis, the first metric is the normalized difference vegetation index, or NDVI for short. It's basically a way of measuring how healthy vegetation is by looking at how it reflects light. So, of course, healthy plants reflect a lot more light than unhealthy plants, and they absorb a lot of visible light, especially red light, because they're in the process of photosynthesis. So at the same time, they reflect a lot of near-infrared light, which they don't use. So you see in these images on the screen. On the left side, we have one in infrared, and on the right side in RGB, red, green, blue. So these forestry, these plants, they reflect a lot of the near-infrared light and absorb the visible light. So to calculate NDVI, we take the difference between this near-infrared and red light and divide it by their sum. And this gives us a value between, you can see the scale on the screen, -1 and 1. And we can use this to assess the forestry's health, the environment's health. So values closer to 1 means that there is dense, healthy vegetation in the imagery captured by the drone. And numbers near -1, of course, they mean things like bare soil or lack of water. So if you see the slide, you'll see two images. One is infrared, one is standard RGB, and they're combined to calculate NDVI. So we use both the near infrared scale to the red and to the RGB. So infrared and visible light. Next slide. So another metric that we're also using to assess the forestry health is leaf area index. So NDVI does tell us about plant health, but leaf area index, or LAI for short, tells us how much vegetation is physically present, so in the imagery captured by the drone. So it's calculated as there are some simplified calculations at the bottom of that image on the slide, but it's calculated based on the total surface area of leaves and greenery compared to how much ground area they cover. So for example, an LAI of 3 might mean there's 3 times more leaf surface area than ground area. Or an LAI of 1 means that there's less leaf surface area relative to the ground area. So it tells us how dense, how healthy, how much physical vegetation is present in the images captured by the drone. So this matters because it helps us understand how much light a canopy or forestry intercepts, how much water is being transpired, and even how much carbon it might be absorbing, because we have this leaf area relative to the ground area in the image. So it complements the NDVI from the previous slide because it adds more context to the forestry presence in the imagery captured by the drone. So, for example, how might we use these metrics together? A high NDVI but a low leaf area index. That might mean healthy vegetation, but it's not very dense, right? So the NDVI, the visible light is strongly reflected, infrared is absorbed, but with the low leaf area index means that there's not actually that much physical coverage present. And low NDVI and LAI could mean that the area needs attention. There's not enough forestry, like deforested areas or places under ecological stress. So together they tell us the health and structure of the forest, and we can identify areas that need conservation efforts and monitor recovery. So in terms of results, this project combines the drone imagery, it's based on neural networks and machine learning algorithms, and the imagery is processed on the ground to create tools for better forest management. So currently, as we've covered, we have the drone in progress and capable of flying, working on errors and image analysis and other such things. So in the future, we hope to automate the drone's path through GPS navigation and send ending real-time data to computers, as well as another method that may make the process of research more efficient. And success would mean that this method could be enhanced and improved to even larger scale forest assessment and even crop assessment for not just natural forestry. Um, yeah, I think. Yeah, so I think I forgot to say next slide, but the aerial vehicle is purchased and set up with the Raspberry Pi camera integrated with the plane. So once again, these operate the camera and all the sensors on the drone that capture the infrared and RGB images. The drone flight tests have a 20-minute flight time. They can perform flight maneuvers as needed, though they require refining, of course. And neural network software is set up or being in the process of being set up to analyze and classify NDVI imagery. And in terms of errors and setbacks, there is, of course, error in the drone stability, so how well it stays stable while navigating a more dense landscape. And we faced a recent setback in terms of crashing the drone, which requires some rebuilding, of course. But yeah, that's just a summary of current progress. And yeah, acknowledgements. We'd like to thank Dr. McMahon, who's our research advisor, Mr. Downing for helping with materials, providing advice, and all the past lab alumni and current members. And yeah, thank you everyone for listening.